Is the ACC, I mean, is it a better conference than last year? Is there more depth in it, or is it just we thought Georgia Tech was up there, Miami was up there, we saw Virginia coming, SMU, could they be there? Clemson was supposed to be,
Yes.
great again this year, and is it because there's more depth in the conference, or is it really just a function of maybe the teams that we thought at the top were really good, maybe aren't quite as quality as we initially expected?
Is it bad to say that it feels like watching the Big Ten without Ohio State and Indiana in it? So you don't have like that dominant team that's just running teams off the field like Indiana is, or has the talent that Ohio State does. But if you were watching the Big Ten from 3 to like 12, you'd be like, man, these are pretty exciting games. Anybody can beat anybody. And I like the way Pitt's playing right now. Honestly, since they made the quarterback switch with the defense they have, the linebacker group they have with Kyle Lewis and Rasheem Biles, they're a real threat, in my opinion, to make this run here. And they play Notre Dame and Miami in the final month of the season. So Pat Narduzzi is going to have those guys definitely in the limelight here.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with more, Bill. I want to talk about some Heisman stuff as well. A little more championship and some of the games this weekend of where he thinks things could ultimately be going. But we're going to talk about our friends at Export Mouth Guards. Protect what matters most. They're trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber, custom fit to your own unique smile with that 3D printing. It looks good. It feels good. It's more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication. So you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby today to save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. More Bill Bender coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. We're on with the great Bill Bender of the Sporting News. And Bill, we talked a lot about the first playoff release. When that comes out, we're in the month of November. I mean, Heisman Trophy ballots will be in about 6 weeks. As we look at this, if you had, I'm guessing you're a Heisman Trophy voter.
Yeah, I voted on it since, and as my friend group constantly remind me, the first year I voted on it, it was Kyler and Tua.
Yeah.
And I voted for Tua. And some of my buddies from high school they said I got it wrong, and I said no, I didn't. It's my vote. I can vote for the wrong guy all I want.
Well, that's the one thing. It's like you're not trying to pick the winner. You're trying to say who is your opinion the most outstanding player. And if you had to do this right now, Bill, and you had to put down your ballot today, like who would first of all, how many guys you think would be there that would be in that cluster, and who do you think they potentially would be?
The hard part about this is how many Ohio State guys are going, because I mentioned that Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith stat in the last segment, and that helps with Julian Sayin. I mean, an 80% completion percentage. I think Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith will both end up in New York if this continues. And it's very rare that you get 2 guys from the same team. So it has to be special. It has to be the Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Willis McGahee, Ken Dorsey. It's hard to get 2 guys to New York. I think, was it CJ Stroud and Chase Young, or Justin Fields and Chase Young? Justin Fields and Chase Young.
It was Fields and Chase Young, which is kind of a little bit unique because it was an offensive defensive situation. And how much does that cannibalize and split the vote then at the top? And so I think what could be very interesting is you could have Jeremiah Smith with Julian at the Heisman, and Carnell Tate potentially win the Blitnikoff, which would be like a while. I mean, because they're different groups of people that vote. And I mean, Carnell's put up a lot of highlights ultimately as well. Outside of those guys, like I thought Diego Pavi, I mean, he played really well in the second half, ferocious comeback. But I'm just like Carson Beck, I think, 6 weeks ago was someone, 5 weeks that people were putting in there. And now, I mean, you mentioned the 9 interceptions as of late. So where do we kind of go with the other 2 or 3 guys?
Well, Fernando Mendoza's going to look good, but I would argue the best part about Indiana is that rushing attack with 3 running backs. It's relentless. They can hit you with all 3 running backs, and I think he's a guy that could get in the mix, absolutely. After that, you're talking about some guys that I kind of call them like MVP type guys. Diego Pavia, if Vanderbilt were able to get to the playoff, he would be in the mix. Ty Simpson at Alabama has 20 touchdown passes and 1 interception, and they beat 4 ranked opponents in a row. So I think we can validate his campaign. And I love Haynes King. I know they lost last week. He had over 500 total yards in that matchup. And if he were able to get Georgia Tech into the playoff, it would be hard for me to not have him go to New York. So in that respect, like you brought up, though, Bobby, I'm interested to see, like, if Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayin are going to get to New York, are they going to split that vote? That kind of happened with McGahee and Dorsey, I think. And, it could happen to those two. But I don't know how you wouldn't vote for Julian Sayin right now because of that completion percentage and passer efficiency. And I know who he's throwing to. But, man, I don't know if there's a way to do that where you could get a Bolitnikov, another guy, because I think they're all valuable to each other. It's hard to weigh one against the other.
Well, when you're voting for this, right, the Heisman Trophy is for the most outstanding player in college football. And to your point, you have to have a quarterback that throws you the football to be as a wide receiver. How much do you look at, you said King putting up 500 yards. How much do you look of that, of what they're doing with what they got to get him in that position versus somebody that has, like Julian, that has all this talent around him and he's just doing his job, though he's doing his job at an unprecedented level through the completion percentage, which you have 3 incompletions and 4 touchdown passes versus a Penn State defense, regardless of what you think about them. That's impressive.
Well, and the way he throws the ball down the field. Remember early in the season, Ohio State wasn't necessarily doing that in their first couple games, but now you just let it fly. And whether it's Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith. But to answer your question, I guess an even better comparison would be Alabama in 2020 when they had Mac Jones and they had Najee Harris and Devontae Smith ended up winning the Heisman, even though if you go back and look at Mac Jones, I bet those statistics are pretty close to what Julian's doing now. And that it's hard to, I think in some ways, don't you think he gets penalized a little bit for that? You're getting penalized for this high level of play because of who you're throwing to, but both of those guys are outstanding. And I think Julian Sayin is just playing at a insanely high level, throwing to guys and doing his job.
All right. Before we get you out of here, Bill, biggest game this weekend that you think could have an impact, obviously, on CFP rankings moving forward?
Yeah, we're not supposed to say this is a bad weekend because I had a publisher tell me that once. You can never say, because you got to find reasons to watch and reasons to love and all those things. So I'm going to say, what does Missouri do against Texas A&M? Can that shake that up a little bit? If the Tigers, they are playing with a backup quarterback after Bo Previola's injury, but that's a game that could be interesting. LSU, Alabama, sometimes when you come out after you fire your coach, you're going to be fired up. So LSU's kind of been put to the test here. We'll see what they go do against Alabama. But other than that, and then I mentioned it earlier, can Iowa make it interesting against Oregon? That's only a 6.5 point spread. That could be a close game.
Stadium, man. Really good game.
I guess I lied. One more. Who gets fired this Sunday?
That's become part of my routine, unfortunately, right? Every Sunday morning and be the next coach fired. I think it's going to be a quiet weekend. Now, we're looking at Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Is that another SEC opening that could pop up? I know Mike Norvell in Florida State's getting interesting, but that won't happen till the end of the season. I think, Bobby, and I'm fingers crossed, we might have a quiet weekend on the coaching front.
That'll be an interesting one. Bill, we appreciate it as always. Thank you for the flexibility here. We appreciate it. And some great conversations there. Maybe not the high-level weekend that we've had, but I'm sure there'll be some compelling games that we didn't expect, as always.
Yeah, it would be great. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. Have a great weekend.
There he is, Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Go check out his stuff. It is absolutely tremendous. He breaks down the rankings and all the games like nobody else.